1970.
I can't really tell you what makes a good editor, but what I am impressed by is when people do things that are really unexpected, but they're still organic to the process and still organic to the picture.
Kelley Dixon graduated from Colorado State University with a degree in technical journalism. However, she began editing professionally in 1990, starting off as an assistant editor on Reservoir Dogs in 1992. And Good Will Hunting in 1998.
First year grad student, you just got finished reading some Marxian historian, Pete Garrison probably. You're gonna be convinced of that till next month when you get to James Lemon. Then you're gonna be talking about how the economies of Virginia and Pennsylvania were entrepreneurial and capitalist way back in 1740.
The Goldfinch is Kelley's editorial debut as a feature film editor. She developed her own individual style through her experience of her assistant roles. Quote, "I'm not an editor who edits by number. Instead of taking 8 frames here or a little bit there, I am one of those who wants to understand the characters, and I put myself into their position. It's about a particular feeling. I'm editing from my heart."
But I always say try and find a different way in to, the scene, because there's always like the obvious way, and maybe you'll use the obvious way, but always try and find a different way.
Kelley's role in Reservoir Dogs was very minor. However, she took a lot of inspiration from watching the editors around her. In 1992, editing had started to take a non-linear approach, so Kelley learned everything she could about the new style and gave out suggestions in the editing room. A piece of advice Dixon has remembered through the years comes from one of her mentors. You have to love your characters. That's the only way you're going to get the best performance out of them. Kelley never forgot that advice and used it as inspiration when starting her work on television. Kelley developed and expanded the grammar of film editing by putting herself into the characters' shoes and loving and understanding their every move.
You can't go home smelling like a meth lab.
Kelley was the assistant editor for the pilot episode of Breaking Bad. She was instantly promoted to feature editor after her meth cooking scene, which was done so beautifully. She has a very unique perspective on editing, using a mix of phone recording footage with fast cuts and close-ups and frame skips, as well as zooming in at certain points with techno music to speed up the pace of the scene. She uses longer shots and Walt is showing Jesse something important, which helps show the character development between the two, as well as showing the pacing between the cooking and Walt and Jesse moments. She keeps certain bits of linear audio, like the clanking of jars and little explosions of smoke. This scene became very popular with the director Vince Gilligan, who liked the edit so much he asked Kelley to edit all the meth scenes and montage scenes, as he loved how it gave the show the aesthetic he was searching for. The Goldfinch in 2019 was Kelley's first feature film as lead editor.
When you came round, did you see people?
Yes.
What were they doing?
They were dead.
This gave her the ability to put all of her skills and styles into a full-length movie. The Goldfinch really stands out for having a unique editing style, turning a 771-page book into a movie. Kelley did a good job in showing deliberate pacing and mysterious unveiling of information, which is very similar to how she edited Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Before and after. Everything is before and after. In the middle is the painting.
Kelley did make some changes from the book. She didn't like the original narration, as she believed it was a little too abstract and wanted to go with something more from the character's heart. All of Kelley's knowledge on non-linear editing was put to good use in The Goldfinch. As well as anchor unfamiliar viewers, Kelley wanted the audience to try to understand the relationships between the characters and figure out what happened by themselves. In conclusion, Kelley contributed to the editing world with her fast-paced sequences and in-depth character development through cuts and music. She won an Emmy for outstanding single-picture editing on Breaking Bad and has started broadening her talent to feature films.
I do think I think about things very differently, and I know that people have told me that I see the footage very differently. Mentors have told me that, wow, you really kind of have a different way of looking at these things.